önünde durmuş olduğumuz ağaç kaç yaşında bu? Kaç yıllık bir ağaç?
Bu ağacımız 4 yaşında.
Maşallah her tarafı ceviz dolu.
Evet.
Bundan kaç kilo mahsul çıkıyor bu
Şu anda
ağaçtan?
bu ağaçtan çıkan mahsuller önümüzde. Bu ağaçtan 30-40 kilo arası ürün çıkmıştır.
Şu anda.
Evet.
Görelim abi. Şöyle. Bakın sevgili izleyicilerimiz. Bir kova da değil. 2 kova.
Kaç
Bakın,
kilo vardır burada?
Şöyle.
35-40 kilo ürünümüz var burada.
35-40 kilo. Demek ki o zaman her fidandan ortalama 30-40 kilo desek 20 fidan alsanız 800 kilo mahsul alacaksınız. Bakın 4 yaşında bir ağaçtan şu görmüş olduğunuz 2 tane kovanın içerisindeki mahsul çıkıyor sevgili izleyicilerimiz. İşte bugün alıp dikerseniz 3-4 yıl sonra bir ağaçtan siz de bu şekilde mahsul toplayacaksınız. Tutmayan fidan olur mu Zafer abi?
Tutmayan fidan olmaz. Bunun bakımını ve dikimini düzgün şartlarda yaptıktan sonra hiçbir fidan tutmamazlık yapmaz. Bu ürünlerin yanında sizlere vereceğimiz bir tabloyla bunları uyguladıkları zaman hiçbir şekilde bu fidan tutmamazlık yapmaz. Burada hafta sulamasını, gübrelemesini ve ilaçlaması yazılı.
Sevgili izleyicilerimiz bakın şu anda sadece ufacık bir daldaki cevizin bereketini görün istiyoruz. Kendi bahçemizde, kendi mahsulümüz, kendi ağaçlarımız. Hemen şöyle gösterelim. Her bir gözde bakın görüyorsunuz onlarca ceviz var. Gerçekten çok bereketli. Ağacın sadece bir tarafı değil, her tarafı. Dallar yere vuruyor sevgili izleyicilerimiz. Mahsulden, bereketten dallar yere vuruyor. Şöyle bir gösterin arkadaşlar. Her yaprağın altında 3'er 5'er tane ceviz var. Sadece yaprakları değil, şöyle meyveleri bir gösterelim. Ve hepsinde de doluluk oranı neredeyse %100 sevgili izleyicilerimiz. Çalı çırpı kirliliğine biz artık bu sene son vereceğiz. Fidan diye çalı satanlara aman vermeyeceğiz. Çünkü biz gerçek fidan satıyoruz. Göster baba belgeleri şöyle.
Bu kadar belgeyle geldik.
İşte.
Bu kadar belgeyle getirdik.
Ver şunu da bana hemen şöyle.
Veriyoruz.
Hemen şöyle bir
Biz
gösterelim.
fidanımızın arkasındayız diyoruz. Evet görüyorsunuz. Fidan üretici belgesi Gıda Tarım ve Hayvancılık Bakanlığı tarafından verilmiş efendim. Bize bu belge. Bitti mi bitmedi. Bir de bakın tohumluk bayi belgesi. Bu da aynı şekilde Gıda Tarım ve Hayvancılık Bakanlığı tarafından verilmiş ki bunların olması gerekiyor. Biz diyoruz ki efendim bu belgeler olmadan bu iş olmuyor, satılmıyor.
Bu kutunun içerisinde fidanlarınız gelecek. Bu kutunun içerisinde üretim belgelerimiz gelecek. Bu kutunun içerisinde budama makasınız gelecek. Hepsi burada. Bir biz girmedik kutunun içerisine. Aklınıza gelen herhangi bir soru işareti olduğunda sevgili izleyicilerimiz 7/24 bizden canlı destek alabilirler. Neden bunu söylüyoruz? Çünkü biz sattığımız fidanların arkasında duruyoruz. Evet.
Ekrandaki telefon numarasını arayıp sipariş verebilir. Tam 20 adet ceviz fidanına 99 liraya sahip olabilirsiniz. Ayrıca 50 lira değerindeki özel ceviz budama makasınızı hediye olarak gönderiyoruz.
Bir de böyle bak. En çok izlenen Türk kanalları, en sevdiğin diziler şimdi HD kaliteyle Bayfo'da. Çanak kablo yok. İnternete bağlan yeter. Farklı televizyonlardan, bilgisayar ya da telefondan. Aynı anda 4 ekrandan izle. Waipu indirimli fiyatıyla şimdi 9.99'a. Üstelik ilk ay bedava. Sadece Waipu TV Türk adresinde.
Israeli airstrikes with fighter jets continue in Gaza as the Israel Defense Forces issue new evacuation orders, delivering a devastating blow with 400 people losing their lives. The reason the IDF gave for Gaza airstrikes was that the Palestinian militant group, which still holds 59 of the 250 hostages kidnapped in its October 7, 2023 attack and an assumed pockets of resistant planning to launch an attack on Israel during the ceasefire. This is how IDF is moving Gazans away from the border, fearing a potential attack from the militant group. The entire border of the Gaza Strip has now been declared a dangerous red zone, and residents in Beit Hanoun, Huza, and Abbasan al-Kabira and al-Jadida have been ordered to evacuate. Here's a closer look at how the airstrikes unfolded with this timeline. Shortly after 2:15 a.m. local time, Israeli warplanes launched dozens of airstrikes in the dead of night across the Gaza Strip, targeting areas including Rafah. By 2:30 a.m., the Israel Defense Forces and the Israel Security Agency announced they were conducting extensive strikes on Hamas targets in Gaza. Around 15 minutes later, the Palestinian Civil Emergency Service reported another 35 airstrikes. This amounts to 2 guided bombs per minute, with at least 15 people killed and dozens more injured. At approximately 3:00 a.m., the Israeli Prime Minister's office stated that the IDF had been ordered to take strong action against Hamas after the group refused to release hostages and rejected proposals from the United States and other mediators. About 20 minutes later, an Israeli official confirmed that the IDF was striking dozens of targets based on Hamas' preparations for attacks, its efforts to strengthen its forces, and its continued rearmament. Shortly before 4 in the morning, reports emerged that Mahmoud Abu Wafa, the highest-ranking Hamas security official in the territory, had been killed. By 8 in the morning, the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry reported that the death toll from the overnight Israeli strikes had risen to at least 400. Let's dive into the basic timeline, how this war started without taking any sides, and the consequences that followed through it. It all started in October 7 massacre, but Palestinians says they were being oppressed for years of Israeli occupation, hence the justified attack. Hamas, the Iran-backed group controlling Gaza, launched a surprise attack on over 20 Israeli communities. The assault was strategically executed using a combination of rockets, paragliders, motorcycles, and other vehicles to penetrate Israel Defense Forces. This coordinated attack aimed to cause maximum disruption and casualties within a short period of time. The sudden escalation of violence also drew Hezbollah, the largest non-state actor in the Middle East, into the conflict from Lebanon. Let's dive into the details of how the attack on Israel happened into 4 simplified parts of the operations. Part 1. In the initial phase of the operation, the stage was set for a dramatic and intense start. At around 6:30 in the morning, a staggering 3,000 rockets was launched from Gaza. This onslaught featured a wide array of rockets, including the distinctive homemade Qassam and the potent Iranian-made Fajr rockets. The Iron Dome missile defense system sprang into action to counter almost 60% of the rockets, animated in our recent video. Simultaneously, the skies near the border crackled with powered hang gliders and motorized paragliders and infiltrated the border. These unconventional flying machines serve as an unexpected element of surprise, challenging the air defense system. After the fighters aboard the hang gliders landed, they secured the surrounding terrain, enabling an elite commando unit to subsequently breach the fortified electronic and cement wall constructed by Israel. Part 2. At 7:30, a critical juncture of the operation unfolded as fighters executed a coordinated entry into Israeli territory near the Kerem Shalom crossing. This crossing held immense significance as it served as a pivotal checkpoint between Israel and Gaza, symbolizing a breach into the heart of Israeli territory. Simultaneously, another group of determined fighters launched an assault on Israel's Erez border crossing station. With calculated precision, they employed explosives to shatter the formidable barriers that had stood in their way. Following this daring act, they swiftly sped across the border on motorbikes. Further enhancing their advance, bulldozers were deployed to widen the gaps created by the explosive breaches, facilitating the influx of even more fighters. These additional reinforcements made their entry into Israeli territory aboard 4-wheel drives, steadily expanding their presence within the enemy's borders. The stage was set for a multifaceted and meticulously coordinated operation as they continued their mission deep within Israeli territory. Part 3. A commando unit attacked the Israeli Army's southern Gaza headquarters and jammed its communications, thus preventing personnel from calling their commanders or each other. Part 4. The final part involved moving hostages to Gaza, mostly achieved early in the attack meant for a prisoner exchange. Israel then responded with airstrikes, taking the lives of many Palestinians, both civilians and fighters. To help you understand the basic IDF strategy, let's divide Gaza into 5 parts. We start with North Gaza, then move on to Gaza, followed by Deir al-Balah, Khan Yunis, and finally Rafah and this crossing towards Egypt. And a quick recap. Since Hamas' attack on October 7, the IDF has invaded Gaza from almost all sides by land, sea, and air. Firstly, invading Gaza from the north and progressing to central Gaza, while instructing Gazans to move to the south. There are various crossings that the IDF controls, mainly the Kerem Shalom, and Hamas controls Rafah. This is probably one of the last major crossings the IDF wants to clear and control, since the rockets were fired from Rafah at its soldiers near the Kerem Shalom crossing. But now here is the catch. Remember, IDF instruction to move to the south. Gazans are now instructed to move to humanitarian zones towards the north. Iran for the first time started attacking Israel. Part 1. Israel launched an attack on the Iranian Damascus embassy in Syria, taking out a couple of Iranian generals. Part 2. Then Iran responded with an attack of around 170 drones launched from Iran towards Israel. An hour later, UAVs were joined by over 30 cruise missiles capable of reaching Israel in just over an hour. Finally, over 120 ballistic missiles, which take just between 10 and 15 minutes to arrive, were launched from Iran. At the same time, drone attacks were launched by the Houthis in Yemen and Iranian-backed militias in Iraq, while Hezbollah fired missiles at Israeli positions in the Golan Heights. Let's explain why they are launched at different time intervals, as these drones usually have a speed of around 114 miles per hour, which translates to approximately 185 kilometers per hour. In comparison, a cruise missile has a speed of around 500 miles per hour, which is about 800 kilometers per hour. A ballistic missile, on the other hand, has a speed of around 3,836 miles per hour, translating to approximately 6,174 kilometers per hour. That is exceptionally fast, and as a result, will catch up swiftly. So in summary, when the drones reach the designated target, the cruise missiles and the ballistic missile will eventually strike their targets at almost the same time. 2024, July 27. The Druze rocket attacks. Although Hezbollah and Israel have regularly exchanged fire since last October, the July 27 rocket attack on the Mad Al Shams football field in the occupied Golan Heights proved to be a pivotal point in the months-old war on Gaza. This attack was carried out with the Falak rocket. The Falak is a 333mm diameter rocket. It weighs 255 kilograms and carries a warhead containing around 53 kilograms of explosives. However, it has only a 10 kilometers range, which translates to around 6 miles, which explains why it landed near the occupied Golan Heights. When it lands, it can create a huge explosion with an effective blast radius of around 100 feet. 2024, July 30. The Beirut precision assassination attack. At around 8 p.m., the Israeli military strikes southern Beirut to target a senior Hezbollah commander in retaliation for the attack on the soccer field in Druze. A guided weapon just like this one, the spice bomb, probably dropped from a fighter jet. It can use both inertial guidance or military-grade GPS for target designation. To make it more precise and accurate, it uses IR Seeker for scene matchmaking over the required target to acquire. Just a reminder, it does not have thrusters. It does this by using free-fall gravity and guides the bomb through the tail section fins towards the target. When it reaches its destination, it can penetrate around 3 meters of concrete with an advanced fuse that explodes with an 80 kilograms warhead in great devastation. This created a chain reactions of assassinations, starting from Ismail Haniyeh, the political leader of Hamas. He was assassinated by an explosive device covertly smuggled into the Tehran guest house where he was staying. This account is according to 7 Middle Eastern officials, including 2 Iranians and an American official. It's important to note that this is one of the most heavily guarded areas in Iran, under the protection of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Here's how it might have worked. The agents, as suggested, placed the bomb in all 3 rooms 2 months ago. Then, when the time was right, it returned to the desired area near the mountain and activated the explosive from a safe distance by hitting the switch, taking out Haniyeh and his bodyguard, along with the destruction of this part of the room. Israel hacked into several commanders' phones and communication systems. When the commanders realized they had been hacked, they began switching to older technologies such as pagers and walkie-talkies. This is how it happened. 5 months before the pagers and walkie-talkie explosion, a shell company, which was probably Mossad, called BAC Consulting in Hungary, bought the licensing rights from a Taiwanese company named Gold Apollo. Unconfirmed reports suggest that the company shipped the products, And at some point along the supply chain, explosives were planted along the way. The products were then shipped back to Hezbollah. To help you understand better, let's simplify the shipping routes. Hezbollah ordered the pagers from Hungary, which was probably Mossad, but the products were allegedly sourced from Taiwan and allegedly made by the Israeli. Afterward, they were reshipped to Lebanon from Hungary, and that's how they hack or cut off communication. On September 20, 2024, Hezbollah commander Ibrahim Akil was also assassinated by a bunker buster bomb that took out the entire building block while he was having a meeting in the ground floor. This is how Hezbollah responded to Israel after the sophisticated pager and walkie-talkie explosions which occurred across Lebanon. They retaliated by launching guided missiles for the first time. The 3 strikes were carried out using Fadi-1 and Fadi-2 missiles as well as Katyusha rockets. The first 2 strikes targeting the Ramat David base were in response to intense Israeli airstrikes on southern Lebanon. The 3rd strike, which targeted a military technology company, Rafale Advanced System, which makes the Spike missile animated in our recent video. Additionally, Hezbollah launched over 100 rockets early Sunday across northern Israel, with some landing near the city of Haifa. What sets these missiles apart from other Hezbollah rockets is that they are not unguided dumb rockets but are equipped with a guidance system. They may utilize inertial guidance systems, replacing the old midsection with a new navigation system. This technology, although quite old, is still effective because it cannot be jammed by radio waves, similar to the technology used in the Iranian Shahed drones used in Ukraine. On the 27th of September 2024, the IDF finally dealt a heavy blow to Hezbollah by launching airstrikes against its founder Hassan Nasrallah. This is Dahiyya, a neighborhood near Beirut known for being a focal point during Israeli airstrikes. One of the key landmarks here is the Hezbollah headquarters. What makes this building particularly noteworthy is its underground basement, which is rumored to contain a network of tunnels. These tunnels are believed to serve as emergency escape routes, adding to the site's strategic importance. Hassan Nasrallah, a high-value asset, has been in hiding for the last 4 years. The IDF was able to pinpoint the date, event, and location of a 6-storied multi-building complex where he was believed to be present. However, there were reports that an undercover agent, possibly Iranian, informed Israeli officials about Nasrallah's arrival in a car. He reportedly arrived at Hezbollah's underground headquarters in the southern suburbs of Beirut for a meeting with several leaders. The tip-off was allegedly received by Israeli officials on the afternoon of Saturday, September 27th. A fighter jet was expected to target and illuminate the building using its laser targeting pod, focusing on one of the specific buildings. Subsequently, a dozen of F-15 jets dropped not 1 but 80 bombs of various types. The tip of the spear would have been the bunker buster bomb that can penetrate through this 6-story building, leveling all 6 structures to the ground and in the process eliminating Hassan Nasrallah in the action. To avenge Hassan Nasrallah assassination, Iran launched around 180 missiles, both hypersonic and ballistic weapons. These missiles traveled more than 1,000 miles from this valley to reach Israel's most populated city and military sites. Iranian ballistic missiles strikes focus on key Israeli military sites such as Nevatim Air Base near Beersheba and Tel Nof Air Base, both of which house the billion-dollar Israeli F-35 fighter jets and other high-value assets. Additional targets included the Hatzerim Air Base in the Negev Desert and the Mossad headquarters in Tel Aviv. We make original videos from scratch, so please do subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos.